Okay, let's get real for a moment. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to enjoy testing your boundaries? They interrupt you. They make passive-aggressive remarks. Or they act like your time, your effort, and your feelings do not really matter. And somehow we are expected to smile, stay quiet, and let it pass like it is normal. Not anymore. Not today. If you are tired of dealing with people who show no respect for you, then this is for you. Today I am breaking down some brutally honest and yes, maybe a little controversial ways to deal with disrespect without losing your calm and without giving up your self-respect. So, get ready because by the time you reach the end of this, you will have the tools you need to show people clearly and calmly where your line is and where it will not be crossed. Let's go straight into it. Let's start with one of my favorite slightly bold but very effective techniques. The silent stare. You might be thinking, really just staring at someone. Yes, really. Trust me on this. When someone is openly rude, dismissive, or disrespectful, nothing throws them off more than a long, calm, steady, and completely unbothered stare. Here is why it works. People who disrespect others are almost always looking for a reaction. They want you to get nervous. They want you to stumble over your words. They want you to feel awkward, or maybe even snap back at them. They are trying to pull you into their chaos, their drama, and their need for control. They want to see doubt on your face or hear weakness in your voice. But when you simply look at them without saying a word, without changing your expression, the power balance shifts instantly, the dynamic changes, and suddenly they are the one who feels exposed. I know it can sound passive-aggressive at first, but stay with me because there is something deeply uncomfortable about someone who refuses to react the way you expect them to. When you hold a calm, steady, silent stare, you are saying a lot without saying anything at all. You are saying, I am not playing this game with you. I am not rushing to explain myself, and I am not giving you the satisfaction you are looking for. It is a quiet way of taking your power back. And sometimes that silent stare is the clearest, strongest no you can give. Let me share a real example where this worked perfectly. I was once in a group meeting and there was this one guy who kept talking over me again and again, cutting me off as if my words did not matter. You probably know the type. Loud, overly confident, and convinced that everyone else exists just to listen to him. I tried speaking up. I tried being polite and patient, but he kept going. So, finally, I stopped trying to compete. I leaned back in my chair, crossed my arms, and looked straight at him. I held his gaze, no smile, no anger, no blinking, just calm, steady eye contact for about 5 seconds. I did not say a single word, and you could feel the tension in the room grow slowly. And the interesting part was that everyone else at the table noticed too. They started watching him, waiting to see what he would do next. He became uncomfortable. He stumbled over his words and suddenly could not even look at me. He did not interrupt me again for the rest of that meeting. And after that day, he treated me with noticeably more respect. That silent moment did more than arguing ever could. Sometimes you show people who you are without saying anything at all. This goes deeper than just a power move. When you use the silent stare, you are reminding both them and yourself that you do not owe anyone a reaction. You do not owe explanations to people who do not respect you, and you do not need to prove your value to someone who refuses to see it. This is about protecting your space, your peace, and your dignity. Many of us were taught to respond quickly, to smooth things over, to defend ourselves, or to stay quiet so we do not make things uncomfortable. But the silent stare is not about being rude or aggressive. It is about being grounded, calm, and fully in control of your emotions. It shows that you are not shaken, and that kind of calm confidence is powerful. People who disrespect others often do it on autopilot. They are not used to being challenged, and they are rarely forced to face their own behavior. When you meet their disrespect with calm silence and direct eye contact, it is like holding up a mirror. You are not telling them they are wrong. You are allowing them to see it themselves. And most people do not like that feeling at all. That is why this works so well. Over time, I noticed something else too. Using the silent stare did not just affect them. It changed me. It strengthened my sense of self-worth. Standing still, staying silent, and not backing down reminded me that someone else's behavior could not control how I felt. I used to laugh nervously when someone made a rude comment or rush to explain myself when someone questioned my choices. but that only drained me and left me feeling small. Learning to sit with silence and let it do the work was a real turning point. It felt like a quiet form of rebellion, a calm but powerful statement of self-respect. So when someone pushes your boundaries, speaks down to you, or tries to make you feel less than simply look at them, let them feel that calm presence. Let the silence do its job. You will be surprised how uncomfortable it makes them and how strong it makes you feel. That look says, I respect myself too much to be pulled into your negativity. And that is a message worth sending. Now let's talk about another powerful tool that does not get enough credit, and that is silence itself. When someone disrespects you, one of the strongest responses you can choose is no response at all. And yes, I know silence can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like you are letting them win or letting things slide. But the truth is, silence is not weakness. Silence is a decision. And sometimes it is the loudest answer you can give when someone throws rude comments, sarcasm, or negativity your way. They are trying to get into your head. They want a reaction. They want engagement. And when you refuse to give it to them, when you let their words fall flat, it forces them to sit alone with what they just said. And that kind of silence can be very uncomfortable. Here is why this works. People who are disrespectful usually expect you to respond. They expect defense arguments or emotional reactions. But silence says, I am not giving you my energy. I am not feeding this moment by staying quiet. You keep control of yourself and the situation. You are choosing not to play along. Sometimes the most powerful communication happens when you choose not to speak at all. I remember dealing with someone who loved making little comments disguised as jokes. Those subtle insults that are easy to deny if you call them out. One day he made an unnecessary comment about my work, clearly meant to get under my skin. Normally I would have explained myself or fired back with something clever, but this time I did nothing. I looked at him, raised my eyebrows slightly, and stayed quiet. I let the moment stretch and become awkward. He did not know what to do. He looked at me, then away, then muttered something and changed the subject. That was the last time he tried that with me. It was like he realized there was no reward if I did not react. And that is the power of silence. It starves disrespect of attention. When you choose silence, you are choosing yourself. You are saying my peace matters more than your opinion, and that mindset is freeing. We often feel pressure to respond to everything, to defend our choices, and to explain who we are to people who have no intention of respecting us. But when you embrace silence, you step out of that trap. You stop chasing understanding from the wrong people. You draw a boundary without saying a word, and you protect your energy. Silence acts like a filter. It blocks negativity and keeps your inner world safe. The moment you stop reacting to every rude comment or passive-aggressive jab, you take your power back. I will be honest, learning to use silence was not easy for me at first. I used to believe that if I did not respond, I would look weak or afraid. But over time, I noticed something important. Every time I argued with someone who disrespected me, I felt exhausted, angry, and drained. But every time I stayed quiet and let their words pass without engaging, I felt calmer, lighter, and more in control. It was like reclaiming a small piece of myself each time I chose peace over reaction. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause, breathe, look at them, and say nothing. Let the silence sit there, let it speak for you. You may notice how uncomfortable they become and how strong you feel inside. Silence is not giving up. It is standing firm without wasting your energy. And once you learn that skill, you move through the world with a different kind of confidence, one that does not need noise to be felt. Sometimes saying nothing is the strongest answer you can give because silence can speak louder than any explanation. And this is where many of us struggle. Stop explaining your choices. Seriously, think about it. How many times have you made a decision for yourself only for someone to instantly question it? Why did you do that? Why didn't you attend that event? Why did you choose that job? Why didn't you choose something else? People often act like they are entitled to an explanation for every move you make. But here is the honest truth. They are not. Your choices belong to you. You do not owe anyone a detailed explanation for how you live your life or why you choose the path you choose. This idea may sound uncomfortable or even controversial, but let's be real for a moment. When someone questions your choices, most of the time they are not truly trying to understand you. They are trying to judge. They are trying to compare. They are trying to poke holes in your thinking. Sometimes they want to make you doubt yourself. Other times they just want to feel better about their own choices by making you second-guess yours. And the important thing to remember is this: you do not have to participate in that game. You are allowed to step away from it. When you stop explaining yourself, you take your power back. You remind people without saying much at all that your life is not open for public discussion. Your life is not a debate stage. Your decisions are not a group project. They are yours. And that quiet confidence can be deeply unsettling to people who expect you to justify yourself. Let's go a little deeper into why people feel so entitled to explanations in the first place. When someone questions your choices, it is often because your decision challenges how they see the world. Maybe you are taking a risk they are too afraid to take. Maybe you are walking away from something they secretly feel stuck in. Maybe you are choosing a path that does not fit the usual rules they live by. Your independence, your courage, or your willingness to do things differently can make them uncomfortable. Asking you to explain yourself is their way of trying to pull you back into their comfort zone. But here is the key point. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not required to calm their fears. You are not required to make your life choices make sense to them. Your life is not a public announcement, and you do not need to justify it to anyone. I remember a time when I decided to change careers. I moved away from a safe, stable job and towards something I was genuinely passionate about. Even though it came with more uncertainty and risk the moment people found out, it felt like I had announced something shocking. I kept hearing the same questions over and over. Why would you leave something so stable? How are you going to make it work? Are you sure this is a good idea? At first, I tried to explain everything. I talked about fulfillment. I talked about long-term goals. I talked about plans and backup plans. But no matter how much I explained, it never seemed to be enough. The more details I gave, the more questions came back at me. The more I explained, the more people poked holes in my thinking. Slowly, I started feeling like I had to prove myself, like my decision needed permission to exist. Then one day, I tried something different. When someone asked, "But why would you leave that job?" I simply said, "Because I wanted to." No extra details, no long explanation, no defense, just a calm, simple answer. And the silence that followed was powerful. People didn't know what to say next. The conversation stopped right there. I had taken away their ability to question my choice, and over time they stopped asking altogether. That is the real beauty of not explaining yourself. It is freeing. It is you standing firmly in your own truth. It is knowing that your decisions are valid simply because you made them. When you stop justifying your actions, you give yourself permission to live honestly and fully without carrying the weight of other people's expectations on your shoulders. You stop wasting energy on explanations, and you start using that energy to actually live the life you want. There is an important lesson here. Your life does not need an audience vote. Not every decision needs to be analyzed, approved, or understood by others. When you stop explaining yourself, you are quietly saying, "I trust myself enough that I don't need your approval," and that kind of confidence speaks volumes. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a truly confident person breaking down every choice they made just to satisfy others? Probably never. People who fully own their lives do not rely on external validation. They know that the only approval that truly matters is their own. I have been there. I used to be the person who would give a full explanation for everything, almost like a presentation, just to get people to agree with me. Over time, I realized that constantly explaining myself was making me doubt my own decisions. So, I made a promise to myself. If someone asks about a choice I made, I will answer briefly, maybe a sentence or two. And if they keep pushing for more, I will smile and move on. And honestly, life became much lighter. The less I explained, the more confident I felt. The more confident I felt, the less I felt the need to explain. So, here is a simple challenge for you. The next time someone questions your choices, pause. Resist the urge to explain. Say something simple like, "Because I wanted to," or "That's what felt right for me." Then stop talking. Let the silence do the work. Notice how powerful that moment feels. You will feel stronger, calmer, and more in control. And eventually, you will realize that your choices do not need anyone else's approval to be valid. Sometimes another powerful move is knowing when to keep your distance. Let's be honest. Sometimes the best way to deal with people who do not respect you is to step back. That might sound harsh or uncomfortable, but here is the truth. Not everyone deserves full access to your life. And when someone consistently disrespects you, creating distance is often one of the healthiest things you can do. Keeping your distance does not mean you hate them. It does not mean you are being dramatic or cruel. It simply means you respect yourself enough to protect your energy. It is not about ignoring people out of spite. It is about choosing where and how you spend your time, your attention, and your emotional strength. Think of your life like a space with limited access. Not everyone gets unlimited entry. If someone constantly crosses your boundaries, makes you feel small, or fills every interaction with negativity, why keep them close? It is okay to step back. In fact, it is necessary. Distance gives you clarity. It helps you see situations for what they truly are without guilt, pressure, or emotional fog clouding your judgment. When you keep disrespectful people close, it is like inviting them to drain you emotionally whenever they want. They criticize, they judge, they take, and then we wonder why we feel exhausted, anxious, or frustrated all the time. Creating space is not punishment. It is self-preservation. It is about protecting your mental health, guarding your peace, and making room for people who genuinely respect and support you. Letting go of guilt around distancing yourself can be incredibly freeing. You are not required to keep people in your life just because you have known them for a long time. I once had a friend who always found a way to criticize my choices, my career, my relationships, even my interests. At first, I told myself that was just their personality. I thought maybe I was being too sensitive, so I stayed. I ignored the comments. But over time, those small remarks started to wear me down. I found myself constantly bracing for the next comment, the next joke that felt more like an attack. Eventually, I tried a different approach. I did not argue. I did not explain. I did not make a big announcement. I simply started spending less time with them. Instead of seeing them every week, I saw them once in a while, and the change was immediate. I felt lighter. I felt calmer. In that space, I realized how unhealthy that dynamic had become. Distance gave me the clarity to see that I deserved relationships that lifted me up, not ones that slowly tore me down. Some people will tell you that keeping your distance is selfish. They will remind you that you are family or that you have been friends for years. Society often teaches us to be loyal at all costs, to forgive endlessly, and to always be nice. But you have to ask yourself at what cost. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. You are not here to be anyone's emotional punching bag or constant source of validation. Keeping your distance is a quiet but powerful statement. It says that you value yourself. It says that your well-being matters. You do not owe anyone unlimited access to your time, your mind, or your emotions. When you create space between yourself and people who disrespect you, you are choosing self-respect, and that choice can change your life. Distance also allows you to refocus on the relationships that truly matter, the ones that support you, the ones that encourage you, the ones that make you feel safe and seen. The more time you spend with people who respect you, the stronger and more confident you become. And the less time you spend around those who drain you, the less power they have over how you feel. Thoughts shape your mood, and your mood slowly shapes your life. I used to feel a deep sense of guilt about distancing myself from certain people, even when they clearly were not treating me well. My mind would keep spinning with questions like, what if they think I don't care anymore? Or, what if I'm just being too sensitive? Or, maybe I'm the problem and I'm overreacting. I would replay conversations in my head again and again, searching for reasons to excuse their behavior. But as time passed, I began to understand something important. Distancing myself was not an act of cruelty or coldness. It was not about cutting people off out of anger. It was about protecting my energy and creating space for growth. It was about choosing peace over constant stress. When I finally gave myself permission to step back from people who disrespected me, something inside me shifted. I felt lighter. I had more energy throughout the day. My mind felt calmer. I could think clearly again. I started to see more clearly who truly deserved access to my time, my attention, and my heart. So, here is a simple challenge for you. Think honestly about the people in your life who regularly make you feel small, uncomfortable, or drained. Think about those who cross your boundaries again and again. Then ask yourself a very real question. Do they truly deserve this much access to me, my thoughts, and my emotional space? Now, let's talk about something very simple but extremely powerful. Something old school that never goes out of style. Holding your head high. I know it can sound like basic advice that you've heard 1,000 times before, but this one carries real weight, especially when you are dealing with people who do not respect you. When someone is disrespectful, they are often counting on one thing. They are counting on you feeling small. They want you to second-guess yourself. They want your eyes to drop. They want your posture to shrink. They want you to question your value. But the moment you stand tall and hold your head high, you are sending a clear message without saying a single word. You are saying, I know who I am, and nothing you say or do can make me feel less than that. Here's what makes this so powerful. Confidence makes the wrong people uncomfortable, especially those who rely on disrespect to feel superior. They depend on the belief that their words have power over you, that they can influence your emotions or control your reactions. When you refuse to let their behavior affect you, when you physically stand taller and lift your head, you are quietly showing them that they no longer have that power. You are showing them that their tactics don't work on you. People who thrive on putting others down often have no idea what to do. When they realize they can't shake you, it throws them off balance. It forces them to question their own influence, not your worth. I remember being around someone who could never resist throwing small insults my way. Every time we met, there was always a comment, always a joke that crossed the line, always a tone that felt more like an attack than humor. I tried to laugh it off at first. I told myself it didn't matter, but deep down it did. I started to dread being around them. I felt tense before every interaction, like I needed to be on guard or ready to defend myself. Then one day, I reached a breaking point. I decided I was done shrinking. I showed up with my shoulders back and my head held high. When the comments came, I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I didn't react. I simply looked them in the eye, gave a calm smile, and carried on as if nothing had happened. And something interesting happened. They started to pull back. It was like they could feel that their words were no longer landing. Their usual power disappeared the moment I stopped giving it attention. There is something magnetic about holding your head high. It creates a quiet strength around you, almost like an invisible shield. It says, I am solid. I am secure. And I cannot be easily shaken. And here's where it gets a little uncomfortable for others. People who don't respect you often dislike seeing you confident. It challenges the story they've created in their own minds. They want to believe they are above you. They want to believe they have control. When you walk with confidence and calm, it disrupts that belief. To them, it can feel threatening. Society doesn't always know how to respond to people who are deeply sure of themselves, especially when those people refuse to absorb negativity or disrespect. That confidence can even make you a target. But remember this, holding your head high is not about proving anything to anyone else. It is about honoring yourself. Holding your head high is an act of self-respect. It is a quiet declaration that you know your value. It means you see yourself as deserving of basic respect regardless of how others behave. The deeper truth is this. Self-worth is not something you earn from people. It is not handed to you through approval or validation. It is something you choose to claim for yourself. No matter what others think, no matter what they say behind your back, you get to decide how you see yourself. When you walk through life as if you already have worth, you stop begging for it from the wrong places. And the truth is, you already have everything you need inside you. Holding your head high reminds you that you are the main character in your own life. No one else's opinion has the authority to define you. And the more you practice this, the less other people's disrespect will even register. You will be too focused on your own path, too secure in your own identity, too grounded to be pulled into unnecessary drama. This confidence did not come naturally to me. I used to be the person who avoided eye contact, who slouched when criticized, who tried to disappear when someone was dismissive. It felt safer to be invisible. But over time I noticed something. Every time I stood a little taller, every time I refused to let someone's negativity sink into me, I felt stronger. It was like reminding myself again and again that I did not need permission to exist confidently. Holding your head high is not just about posture. It is about mindset. It is about how you enter a room. Walk into places like you belong there. because you do. Don't shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations. If someone throws a sarcastic remark your way, let it pass. Their words are a reflection of their inner world, not your value. Why carry what doesn't belong to you? The next time you feel disrespected, whether it's subtle or obvious, pause, take a breath, pull your shoulders back, lift your head, look at them calmly, not with anger, not with fear, but with quiet confidence. You'll feel a sense of control return to you. You'll feel peace instead of tension. Holding your head high is a silent but powerful statement. It says, I know who I am. I respect myself, and nothing you say can take that away. At the end of the day, respect always starts within. The more you respect yourself, the less space there is for disrespect to stay. Stand tall. Own your worth. Life is too short to constantly bend yourself for people who refuse to see your value. Some people will never get it, and that's okay. You don't need to convince them. You need to protect your peace. People will test you. They will challenge your boundaries. They will question your choices. That is part of life, but you always get to choose what energy you allow into your space. The best part is this: when you focus on self-respect, you naturally attract people who see your worth, people who uplift you, people who treat you with care. It all begins when you own your power and stop apologizing for it. So, keep your head high. Embrace silence when it protects you. Walk away from what drains you without guilt. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the reminder. Stay strong, stay grounded, and never forget that respect starts with you.